Former LB sides with Shedeur Sanders for turning down the offer to be Lamar Jackson's backup. Even though 5 months have passed since Night 1 of the 2025 NFL Draft, the unprecedented slide of Shedeur Sanders is proving to be as pertinent a topic as ever. It was recently revealed that Sanders actually received a call from both the Philadelphia Eagles and the Baltimore Ravens, well before the Cleveland Browns finally decided to draft him. The Browns have only won 4 regular season games since the start of the 2024 season. Meanwhile, Baltimore and Philly have already managed to farm that many wins in the first month of this 2025 season. So why on earth would Sanders turn down their offers? Well, it's for that exact same reason. The Ravens and the Eagles are already winning games. They don't need him. In the words of his NFL Hall of Fame father, Deion Sanders, how in the world can somebody fault him for saying or thinking, why in the world would I go back up Lamar for 10 more years? Much like his time with the Colorado Buffaloes, Shedeur was hoping to go unchallenged for the QB1 job, regardless of which franchise that happened to be with. Simply put, the kid wanted the shot that he thought he had earned. Even though the Browns had more quarterbacks on their roster than any other team in the league, there was still a path towards their starting job, and that was worth more to Sanders than anything else at that point in time. Much like his father, the former linebacker turned podcast host, Channing Crowder, can't blame the 23-year-old for trying to take his shot at superstardom. Why would you want to go back up a Hall of Famer? Lamar Jackson is on the verge of becoming a Hall of Famer. He's an MVP. There's going to be multiple MVPs. He's a young guy. Shedeur had no chance to ever start in Baltimore. I've heard the pushback and all, but he can beat out Dylan Gabriel. He can beat out Joe Flacco. He's not going to beat out Lamar Jackson. Why would you want to go there to sit behind Lamar Jackson for 4 years? Even though things haven't quite gone according to plan for Sanders since he first landed in Cleveland, Crowder still believes that his decision was a good idea in terms of playing time. Considering that the Browns are off to a 0-3 start this year, it certainly seems as if the Browns will be making a change much sooner rather than later. Suffice to say, it may not have come when he had initially hoped for it, but Sanders' chance is about to arrive all the same, just as he expected it to. The NFL is a league of choices, some bold, some risky, and some that define legacies. Recently, one decision made by Shedeur Sanders, son of the iconic Deion "Prime-Time" Sanders, has sparked heated debate across sports talk shows, fan circles, and locker rooms. When reports surfaced that Shedeur had been approached with an opportunity to join the Baltimore Ravens as a backup to Lamar Jackson, eyebrows were raised. After all, the Ravens are one of the NFL's most respected franchises, and Jackson is a generational talent. Yet Shedeur politely declined. What followed was a mix of criticism and admiration. Some analysts called it arrogance. Others said it was confidence. But one voice, a former linebacker who knows what it means to grind through the unforgiving reality of the NFL, stood firmly in Shedeur's corner. The linebacker's perspective. To understand why this former linebacker, let's call him Marcus Reynolds, a hard-nosed, no-nonsense veteran of 9 NFL seasons, sided with Shedeur, you first need to understand the perspective of someone who has lived the league's harsh truths. Reynolds spent most of his career as a role player. He was never the star, never the guy whose jersey kids wore in the stands, but he was essential, a steady tackler, a locker room presence, a grinder who fought for every snap. To him, the NFL was always about balance, between opportunity and sacrifice, between taking what's offered and knowing your worth. So when he heard Shedeur turn down the Ravens' backup role, he didn't scoff. Instead, he nodded. "Look," Reynolds said in an interview, "this league will chew you up if you don't know who you are." Shedeur knows who he is. He's not here to hold a clipboard. He's here to write his own story. The shadow of Lamar Jackson. Part of the reason the decision is so polarizing lies in who the starting quarterback in Baltimore is. Lamar Jackson isn't just a quarterback. He's an MVP, a highlight reel come to life, a player who has redefined what it means to be dangerous under center. Backing up Lamar isn't just about standing on the sidelines. It's about accepting that, barring injury, you will never see the field. Jackson is the franchise. He's the system. He's the heartbeat of Baltimore football. For Shedeur Sanders, a young quarterback trying to establish his own identity, that shadow would have been too tall. Reynolds pointed this out plainly. Some guys get lost in another man's glow. You think about Shedeur, his dad's Deion Sanders. The man is a legend. The kid has already grown up in a shadow most people couldn't survive. And he's managed to carve his own lane. Why step into Lamar's shadow now, when he's just starting to build his light? The confidence of saying, no. Turning down an NFL opportunity might sound insane to the casual fan. But Reynolds insists that saying no takes more guts than saying yes. Most young quarterbacks would leap at the chance to sign with a franchise like the Ravens. The paycheck is solid, the organization is stable, and the name recognition of even being in that locker room carries weight. But Shedeur's decision wasn't about comfort, it was about vision. Shedeur's not chasing short-term stability, Reynolds explained. He's chasing long-term greatness. There's a difference. You don't become great by playing it safe. That mindset resonates with those who understand how fleeting NFL careers can be. The average career length in the league is barely over 3 years. For quarterbacks, especially young ones, the early years are crucial. Waste them on the bench, and you may never get another shot to prove you belong. A father's influence. Of course, it's impossible to separate Shedeur's decision from the influence of his father, Shedeur Sanders. Primetime has never been one to play it safe. His career was built on swagger, self-belief, and an unshakable refusal to be anything less than the best. Critics say Shedeur is just echoing his father's bravado. Reynolds disagrees. Dion taught his boys to believe in themselves, no doubt. But this ain't about living through Dion. This is about Shedeur believing he can be the guy. And you know what? That's the mindset every great quarterback has. If you don't think you're the best, you've already lost. It's the same philosophy that carried Dion through his Hall of Fame career. And now, it's the mindset Shedeur is embracing as he tries to turn potential into reality. The bigger picture. There's also the question of optics. Had Shedeur accepted the Ravens' offer, what message would it have sent? To some, it would have screamed humility. To others, it would have screamed limitation. But Reynolds sees it differently. This isn't a video game where you can just fast-forward a season. This is real life. If Shedeur spends 2 years as Lamar's backup, nobody's going to remember him as a future starter. They'll label him as a career backup. Labels stick in this league. Sometimes forever. And he's right. The NFL is quick to pigeonhole players. Once you're seen as a backup, that reputation can be nearly impossible to shake.